back to J Chats. It's your girl JD, and we are inside of another very interesting conversation, or as I say, chat. Can't wait to get into your world. Don't forget though, before we continue, please click like, subscribe, and share, and also click that bell so you know every time I drop a new video, alright? Thank you so much for the support. J Chats, from interest to insights. Let's jump into it. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of J Chats. It's your girl JD. Thank you so much for allowing us inside of your world again. We are still inside of the month of September, and as I've been saying before, September has many things that are recognized this month. But over the past couple episodes, you would have seen I've placed the spotlight on Alzheimer's, whether it's the conversation I had in terms of the clinical sense with Dr. Asante LeBlanc, or last week, I would have had that conversation with Simone Blackford, who is a gerontologist, and we spoke to her last week pertaining to, caring for the caregivers and what we need to do as caregivers who are so dedicated to taking care of those that are living with Alzheimer's or dementia. So we know the whole definition behind it. Today, I have got with me this young lady who is representing the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we've got Karen Camejo from the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago. She is from the Port of Spain support group. She's also a caregiver in terms of taking care of her own mother. So we certainly can get some stories out of her pertaining to that role that she is certainly fulfilling for how many years now. But also, I wanted this discussion to be focused on helping those who need the support in terms of the support group. And I have had conversation with Miss Ann Smith over the past couple of years via radio, speaking about the great things that the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago has been involved with, telling us about the various groups, but it's time to bring it onto this platform. So welcome, and thank you so much, Karen, for joining us.
You're most welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I know COVID is making this different.
I know, but luckily for me, I'm retired, but so I'm home anyhow.
Good.
But never have children. The children make you want to insist that you stay home even more. Yes.
Oh my God. I'm sure that is the cry of many persons right now, the whole homeschooling thing happening, with parents trying to adjust to that lifestyle too. So tell us about, if you can, first off, the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago. How long has it been in existence? And really just tell us about your role within the group.
Okay. Well, the association started with the original president, Norma Innes.
Mm-hmm.
She was a seroptimist, and she was president of Seroptimists at the time, and this was her Seroptimist project. So she started that in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2000, it was incorporated as a non-profit organization. So technically, we have been an organization for 20 years. So we have a number of support groups, and I'm from the Port of Spain support group, and that is my, what I do right now. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So this has been around. Do you have a lot of members or a lot of persons coming to this particular organization? Is it a very much needed NGO, you would say, in your years of?
It's very much needed. We have been working all through the years. I joined in around 2009. Mm-hmm. We have been working a lot, putting information out there to encourage people to become involved. People still say, in spite of all of this, we don't have the level of response that we would like. People do call in for information. They do come to our monthly meetings. But I think once they kind of get a feel or a fix on how to deal with their personal circumstance,
right,
a lot of people don't necessarily return. So that is a continuous battle for us, because we need manpower in order to spread the word. But we have been around a long time, and we have regular monthly meetings. So we have 4 support groups. So we have one in Tobago, one in San Fernando, one in Port of Spain, and one in Arima. The Port of Spain group.
Before you go giving us the details of each location, I want to find out more about you, though. All right.
Me.
So just because you said to me off air And that's just a
Yeah.
TV news guy is looking on. But off screen, you said you are a caregiver, not in the sense of it being your profession, but you are one of those taking care of your mother who's living with Alzheimer's. I wanted you to give a little bit of the history of your journey. And I say that
Yeah.
because it's a good way to continue off from last week, where we were speaking to, as I said, Simone Blackwood, who was telling us there's a need for us to care for the caregiver and pay attention to the needs of the caregiver, because you too are human. So tell us
Yeah.
about your journey and some maybe the challenges that you may be embarking on continuously as you offer the love and support to your mom.
Right. Well, we have been going through this for about 15 years. I
Um,
know the time directly because I moved into this house in 2005, and it's around that time that we made a conscious note
mm,
of things we had been seeing. Because my mother had her own business,
right.
and then all of a sudden she just couldn't get it together. But she was very oh no, I'm going to do this, no, 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 and very aggressive and very, what is the word? She
You know, they're
she
set
didn't
in
take.
their own ways.
Yeah, well, but it comes even worse because now I think what happens as they at that stage, in early stage, start recognizing there's something not quite right. But
Right.
because it's something where you're losing your memory, you don't understand the extent to which it's not quite right. So you start to get a little paranoid about the people next to you only telling you and telling you didn't do this and you didn't do that, and I'm telling you I'm going to get it. So
Mhm.
it started off like that, and then we had a assess sometime around that time, and there's this mini mental test that the doctors do, and it's marked out to 30, and 24 is the cutoff point when we started saying what's really going on here. And the first time she did it, she scored 24, by which
Mm.
time we had already started to notice things not quite right, but she was still very functional. So that if you didn't know and you came up to her and said, Shirley, how are you? She'd be fine, even though she don't necessarily she may not know who you are, but she was able to cover. And that went on for a while. And then she and I stopped getting along at all, even though we had always been very close. And we got in a way and that's when I joined the association to help me to cope with the situation
With
because I
it.
couldn't understand. Yeah, because why are we quarreling? So what is this all the time? And then I keep telling people the caregiving requires you to make the adjustment because they are unable to make any adjustments. And you think that you understand it until you are in it because you are now required to not respond negatively to something that
Mhm.
can be a bit of an irritation. When they repeat, when they accuse you, sometimes it's very painful and hurtful because I remember I was very hurt when my mother accused me of all kinds of theft, stealing her furniture and all sorts of stuff. And we were always so close, I was so hurt. And in those days, I didn't really understand the disease. So it was very, until as I said, I had to get myself in hand and say, Karen, just imagine you wake up in the morning and people are continuing conversations that you don't have a clue what happened yesterday, but they're talking to you like if you all had some history. And you know you're not a fool, but what are they talking about? It's quite, and they keep doing these things, and then they keep accusing you, and
Can be
it's
annoying.
probably very frightening.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
I started to think of how frightened and confused, and here it is, we are so close, we are good friends, and yet I am the enemy.
Mhm.
So how does that make her feel? Who can she trust? All these people around her. So when I started to think of it like that, and I just adjusted. So then, no matter what she said to me, I was not rough. I was not harsh. I was not angry. I answered the same question 9 million times a day, and then she started to. My mother is naturally a very aggressive, assertive person. All her life, she's a take charge. And I tell people she's sorted the universe before breakfast. That kind of person. So she so when that happened, she calmed down. And then I think it was because now, even when she can't understand what's happening, but she trusts me
Right.
to keep her right. And we are now no longer arguing. So she got very calm and sorry, and accepted that it may not be as that simple. And then we got along fine, but then she just continued to deteriorate mentally. In the beginning, she could organize herself. You can get her to do little chores. I always gave her chores to do because I think people need to work. We not,
To
it's
stay
no, you're not,
attentive to it.
yes, and you're not doing elderly any favor by telling them to sit down and work so hard all your life. No, You know what I mean? So
That is so true.
yeah, so I always gave her little chores because she couldn't do two things at one time. You know, like I'd wash dress and ask her to wipe, but she couldn't wipe and put away. And she just went down in terms of what she was able to do, less and less and less. She couldn't and then she couldn't choose her clothes, so we would choose her clothes, and then she couldn't dress herself, so we would dress her. Then she couldn't bathe herself, so we would be, until eventually it got too much, and I had to start getting caregivers because I am doing this, and she'd be staying home with the housekeeper because I have to go to work. And then that just, but she could handle herself in the beginning. But then eventually, when she couldn't handle herself, we had to get someone because the caregiver couldn't prepare her food and take care of all the things around her and take care of her. And so now I have a caregiver every day. A caregiver comes in at 9 because that's when my mother gets up, and leaves at 3 because that's when all the heavy lifting is done. You know, she's fed, she's bathed, she's everything. And then, well, now that I'm not working, I would just take over from 3.
From 3 p.m.
Yeah, when I was working, the housekeeper took over until I came home at 5:30, and that is how we ran it. And then, and first it was just in the week. Then I started to get a caregiver on Saturday. Then I started to get a caregiver on Sunday because you, as the main caregiver, because remember when they go home, I am running all night. If she doesn't sleep at night, I am up all night. Sometimes it was really hard to go to work because you're exhausted.
So she
You know.
suffered from insomnia as well.
Well, sometimes, but then sometimes, especially now she's getting older, she's physically deteriorating. So sometimes she tends to cough and has, a lot of coughing. So you have to get up in the night and attend to it, and eat her because she just keep coughing. So we have all sorts of things that we try, and so on. And we have little systems worked out. Sometimes she's cold, sometimes she's hot. You just have to get up and shift it around as the case may be. And it takes all that amount of management all the time. It's a 24-hour job,
But how are you dealing with it mentally? Trying to make sure she's taken care of, but also Karen is taken care of. What are
Yeah.
you
Well, I think in one thing I put it in perspective. I remember one time when she used to go to the health clinic and then she couldn't go anymore, and I had to get a doctor to come in. And the first time he came, he had me now, he was checking me out to make sure I had my head in the right way, because to accept, number one, that she's just going to get worse and that she's going to die from this. And but then he realized I am very, what is the word, pragmatic about it. It's just what it is. So I'm not upset in the way that I'm upset that she has to live like this. I
Yes.
know she would not, yes, because this is no life, and that upsets me more than anything else. But and there are sometimes when I'm a little bit tired, but really and truly, I have two wonderful daughters who give the maximum of support. Like these few days, I'm not feeling so well. Don't know if I just feel a little bit fluey, so we don't know what it is. So I am being quarantined in another part of the house, and
Right,
my
right, right.
daughter is sleeping with her and taking care of her when the housekeeper goes, because my daughter is working from home these days. So she's taking care of her so that
Right.
I can stay far away. So I have a lot of help. I pay for a lot of help.
Mm.
Luckily, I'm in a position to pay for the help.
That's another thing, because it is quite costly, obviously, to
It is
hire
quite
help.
costly. It
Ah,
is. It is. As
so,
I say, I have the caregivers for when to do the heavy lifting, the
yeah,
bather, the cleaner, the feeder, so that in the evening when they leave, it's just the last meal and just to get her to bed. So it's the light stuff. And then she's in bed. And well, I am, most times I go down early, or you work around, you get a camera thing.
to keep an eye on her as you do.
Yes, if you're not
Well,
in the
you
same
usually
room
do
with
that
her.
for the babies, right? The baby
Yes,
monitor. So, and I
yes,
guess they say
yes.
once a man, twice a child, right?
I'm
So,
telling you.
So,
Yes,
so I'm glad to see that you do have the support, whether it's the financial side of it, being able to afford assistance, or even
yes,
your family members doing it. And
yes,
just thinking about that sort of intensity, I'm sure you can speak, or you have to have had to be able to speak to those persons that come to the Alzheimer's Association of
yes,
Trinidad and Tobago to say,
yes,
I just can't do this, And
yes.
what have been some of those experiences in terms of persons
Well,
coming in?
a lot of times people, you needing help, people come, most of the time they really can't deal with the patient. They never really come to say, because caregivers tend not to recognize the extent to which they need care. They come because
Right.
they need care for the patient. So we tell them a lot of the times, that thing we say, you need to adjust your attitude. Sometimes they come and they give this story, and we tell them why what they did would not work. and how they need to adjust and what other systems they need to put in place. Like some people do a lot of running away. I didn't have that experience, but some people have that experience. Some people have the experience of the hallucinations, and some people have the experience of the person being very aggressive so depending on the situation. And so we speak to some of the things, the techniques that you can actually try to help address the situation, because it's really a management issue. That's all it is. It's a management issue.
You know,
And yeah,
sorry, Karen, I'm thinking and I'm hearing you speak, and I won't call names. I know of a particular young lady that was saying to me with her mom, now living with Alzheimer's. I remember she said she had to find ways to restrain her because she would go out for walks. And
yes.
I know that's a safety mechanism, but it's also so sad to know that this is what you have to do. Do you hear stories like that?
Yes, we have lots of stories like that, especially like in the homes, because there's a management issue. It's a difficult situation. It's not something that we try to encourage at all, because nobody wants, but it's difficult. And you need to work with your doctor, because sometimes there can be some degree of medication. However, you don't want them to over medicate them to the level of like a zombie.
Right.
But really and truly, you have to try little management things. Sometimes you are able, if you can work on reducing the fear of the patient, it helps with the management. So as I'm saying, that's why a lot of the care sometimes involves you adjusting the manner in which you approach the situation.
Right.
So yes, there are some serious things people wonder, and you need to do things like letting your neighbors know that their family members, and that is a problem because some people feel very embarrassed about it, and there's a lot of stigma.
Right.
But you need to really let the people in the neighborhood know, so that if the family member, the patient goes wandering, somebody will be able to, yes, things like that. And you need to ask for assistance sometimes for your family members. Some people don't ask enough for assistance, and really and truly, nobody's really keen to volunteer too much. But sometimes somebody might give you an hour once in a while, but it's an hour of time that you may not have had before. So
and
take
all
your
that you need.
Yes, and you take your assistance when you can get it, and you work with your doctor, and you really try to keep the patient motivated and entertained, because people need to have purpose. So if nobody is talking to them and they're just wandering and people treat them like, it makes the management difficult. We have had things like in the association, we have done what these call these memory cafes. So what we try to do is have a morning of activities for persons to come. But it's difficult in this Trinidad setting, because like when I joined the association, for example, one of the things I wanted was that. But when they have a thing at 10 o'clock in the morning in St. James, and I'm living in Santa Cruz and working in St. Augustine, it's impossible. So you really need to have a lot more of these sorts of activities for the elderly in the communities, like in the community, so that because I could have sent one, maybe there was one in Santa Cruz, I could have organized for the caregiver to take her there, but not if it's in, so you need a lot.
But now, Karen, with COVID,
yes,
messing everything up. Like for instance, that memory game. How are you guys at the association adjusting
we've
that?
So we haven't had any memory cafes recently, because it's impossible. So really and truly, that kind of assistance that we've been giving has been, that particular aspect of the assistance has been reduced, because of COVID. Because the memory cafe really is a morning of activities. So you can have like a morning of musical activities. One time we had Felix Roach come, and he was playing, and he played music from their time, and we had some homes bring people in and people dance. We had it on a Saturday, of course. People came in and danced, and you can't have it for very long, because maybe they're older persons, they get tired, and so you have it for 2 to 3 hours. Yes, you make sure you have stuff for them to eat. So just the morning. So we need a lot more of that kind of thing, so that the patients can be stimulated. Because if so you go out and you do that, then when you come back home, you are genuinely tired, you would rest. As against, you spend the whole day just wandering aimlessly, unhappy, and your family member wants you to lie down a little bit because they could do it the rest.
You know,
So
I'm hearing you speak about some of the experiences at the association, and I'm going back in my mind with my grandmother, who I was telling you about, 87. She is not, she's not showing any signs of any of this, just a
right.
little bit of forgetfulness and stuff like that. But my point in saying, I remember
Yes.
is involved in various other groups. You know, whether it's the diabetics group, is the CUNY group,
Mm-hmm.
is the aerobics, and she's not, thankfully, not going through any of those signs at this point in her life, but she's an elderly, she's 87. And I always said, some months ago before COVID, I'm like, Granny, you're going out too much. What is this? All you have to do, so every day, every week, you'll have something planned. But I'm hearing you talk now. It's important to keep them
It's
active.
important. It's
Yeah,
very important.
yeah.
Yes.
And I can
Because
imagine only
yeah,
now how she feels with this COVID being wrapped up at home.
yes. It's a problem because even like when I retired, I started all my swimming, my aqua aerobics. I was having
Yeah,
a time. Oh my goodness, I am really feeling it.
yeah.
I'm. It's a challenge to force myself to do other forms of exercise.
So you're opening up my mind there. I think I'll just try to take her for drives and think a little bit more,
Yes,
you
and
know.
we did that with mommy a lot because as she got more, you could tell she would understand you, but then she lost language early. And that's the thing about the Alzheimer's, right? You manifest in so many different ways, but she lost language, not necessarily the ability to understand, but the ability to form a sentence pretty early in the game.
Right.
But yet, everywhere I went, I literally would tell people, man, I just felt mommy in the car and we gone, right? So wherever, I just dress her appropriately and I'm taking her with me.
Yeah.
And we
They
did
need
that
to
for
get
a
out.
long time, and she loved that. She would just sit in the car and drive around, but whatever. She is good
Karen,
until
you're
she couldn't do
reminding
it.
you're reminding me
Yeah,
of that simple thing, you know,
that
because
simple thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
she needs to get out.
yeah.
So, you know,
She
even if
needs to. Yes.
I most recently, and this is side note, most recently I went to Price Mart to get, of course, this is COVID and everything, we have to mask up and all that. But I went to Price Mart and one of the young ladies says, "Where's Granny?" I said, "You know, COVID now, leave her home." She's like, "Yeah, but you still need to take her out and thing, eh?" You know, because Granny loved to go to Price Mart.
Yes.
Yes, you know. So
Yes.
these are the things that we have to be aware of, whether the elderly is sick
Yes.
or anything like that. Caregiving is caregiving at the
That's
end of the
right.
day. So let's go back to what the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago is offering in terms of the support groups, which you hinted on just earlier on throughout Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago. And Karen, if you can tell us if there are changes that have been made as a result of this pandemic in which we're living in.
Yes. So we've had to make quite a number of changes. Normally, as I said, we have 4 support groups.
Right?
The in support group would meet the first Saturday of every month. The ARIMA support group would meet the second Saturday of every month. The Tobago group would meet the second Tuesday, and the San Fernando group would meet the last Saturday of every month. So we had meetings every month, and anybody is invited, anybody is welcome to come. And what we would do at those meetings, we would have what we call support and sharing, meaning that you come in and you just talk, and you have the benefit of the expertise of the people like myself who've been through this thing a while. And then in between that, at some months, we would try to have featured speakers talking on all aspects of this, things like financial issues, um, legal matters that come up. What is Alzheimer's? Um, what is the level of dementia? We had a presentation one time on talking about the level of dementia in Trinidad.
Right.
You know, and we had one time we had people from the social services come to talk about what social services are available. Not all of them are for elderly, but very relevant to you to assist in you. So we try to have a mix of topics that we address from time to time so that people can come in and learn something. Sometimes, depending on the topic, like when we have the one to do with legal or financial, we tend to have a big crowd, but you know, so it fluctuates a lot.
Right.
But that is the main thing we do on a regular basis. But apart from that, the association will go to any organization who wants to have conversation or information on
Right.
Alzheimer's dementia. So we
Mhm.
do that all the time. We also do a lot of health fairs, and we do a lot of health fairs, and also people phone in and we give information. We encourage them to come to the office on our office days, which before COVID was Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. But since COVID, it's only on a Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So
Remind us of the location. Yeah.
right, it's on Nepal Street, St. James, 15 Nepal Street, St. James. So our office, I should give you the phone number as well. Ow. Yes, the phone number is 225-8764 and 345-6549, so that you can call in and we can set up a date where you to come on and to get some literature, some information
Oh, good.
on, because so, and I have been talking to people over at this time, people call in with their particular issues and how they're dealing with their family member, and I give whatever advice or sometimes hook them up to other people. We have a little WhatsApp group of people just calling so we can share information on activities. And speaking of activities,
Mm-hmm.
well, we for this month of September, which is World Alzheimer's Month, we would normally have quite a number of activities, but in each support group as well. But because of COVID, we have to cut back. So we're having three main things. We're having a lot of conversations like this on the media, print media, and so.
Right, right.
Yesterday, we had our webinar in association with UB Roytech.
Nice.
Was on raising awareness of dementia and the challenge of stigma. And we had Dr. Jennifer Rouse, the
Yes.
former Division of Aging Chairman,
Right.
gerontologist herself, as the presenter. So that would have happened on Saturday at 2 p.m. yesterday.
So what are there others, as you say, because this month is still so many others.
Right. So what we have, so we only have one webinar.
Right.
And we also have coming up our lunch and launch, which will be on the 21st of September, which is World Alzheimer's Day.
Right.
And normally it would be like a luncheon. Like last year we had the luncheon, we had it on, I don't know the name of that place, in Government Campus Plaza there. Anyhow.
Government Campus, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was all and we had talking with Alzheimer's and activities and so. This year, because of COVID, we can't have that. So what we are having is a launch and lunch with a cause. So the lunch, what we ask people to do is sponsor a meal for $60, which will go to people on the front line fighting against COVID. So we will be sponsoring. So instead of you buying a lunch for yourself, you would pay for a lunch, which will go to the people on the front line so you'll be sponsoring
essential workers. You're talking about doctors, nurses, etc., that are doing what they can to save us.
Yes. And so that's what we're having. So we have had to scale back our activities a lot. Over the years, we have done stuff like 1 year we had a series of luncheon seminars outside NALIS for the public, a brown bag seminar talking about different aspects of Alzheimer's, what is Alzheimer's, and so we, as I say, we constantly disseminating information. And something we are planning to do now is that in association with UB Roytech as well, we are planning a training program for caregivers of persons with Alzheimer's dementia.
Great.
Yes, because most people who are caregivers might have some bit of training for caring of the elderly, but not specific training for people. So that is something that we are working on right now, and it's going to be a training program in association with UB Roytech.
But wait, you just said most persons, you don't have a data yet, but you said persons who would be doing this would have maybe taken care of the elderly generally, not Alzheimer's patients.
No, we're saying that the training that is there is that people are trained with caring with the elderly, but they don't have that specific Alzheimer's training.
But you're not only targeting professionals, are you?
No, because like the caregivers sometimes when you have a caregiver, like my caregivers are not nurses, they are caregivers, right? So they will have experience in taking care of so they will have some bit of like some bit of caregiver training, which is a simple training as compared to like a nurse,
Yeah, but I only ask that because, let's say for myself, if later on I got to do what I have to do to continue to take care of granny or mommy or daddy, you look at, I may need that sort of training as well. So I just want to.
That's correct. That is correct. That is correct. Yes. So you will know. Yes. So it's for anyone, but we will but we target active caregivers at first, and we plan to have this continuous training.
I know you said no date, but
I don't have that's all the information I have on it. It's in the planning, and it's for this year. So they're planning on it. Yes.
Can we just jump back, Karen, to the
Yes.
lunch that you spoke about? What
Yes.
sort of, how can we get onto you or the organization? What do we need to do? Because I want to, let's say I want to sponsor 2 lunches for Dr. Lil.
Right.
What's the process?
So you we can contact us at the Alzheimer's Association.
Right.
Um, you can make a donation as well to the RBC Royal Bank account. We have a Royal Bank account, so you can
Okay.
make the donation there. And yeah, so that's basically it. You can contact if you know a member or anything like that. So so basically the money will be going into our RBC account, and it's on the same flyer with all the account number, or you can call the office and we can make cash donations at the office.
And this is for the
Yes.
21st.
Of
So
September. Yes.
September.
Yes.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Karen, we're getting ready to wrap up our conversation in just a bit, but I just wanted you to speak to anyone who's looking on, especially caregivers, and also, just anyone who's not even caregivers, someone who's just going through the process as well and wanting to maybe give a volunteer of their time. What can you say to us about the association and how we can certainly get in contact with you guys and get more
Yeah.
involved?
Yes. We are always looking for volunteers, and that has been our biggest limitation,
Right.
manpower to get the job done, to get the message out. So we do have a website. We are www.alztrinbago.org.
Right.
We have an email account as well, alstrinbago@gmail.com. We are in the office every Thursday from 10 to 2 until further notice. We
Right.
have our numbers of 225-8764 and 345-6549. And you can call in and ask and contact us. So you can call in and ask and look for information as to help you to assist with your family member who will be having an issue. You can call in and just get information if you are a professional caregiver and you need to have additional information. You can call in and ask for assistance for us to come. Well, in this COVID time, there's a little bit, but normally you can call in and ask for us to make a presentation to your organization in terms of explaining about the disease. So we are just here to provide assistance and information, and we encourage people to call in and assist and help. Yes.
Yeah, offering the support is needed, and that's why I thought it was necessary to have you in the leg of conversations about Alzheimer's, whether it's from the clinical side with the doctor, speaking to Simone last week, and then of course I had to have that conversation with the
Yeah.
association because we're all playing part, each one help one, and
Yes.
certainly
Yes.
just to get through this situation, you
Yes.
know. So
Yeah.
I do want to
And it's
say.
only when you're in it, JD, you realize just how many. I mean, everywhere I turn now is like, what's really going on here? You know?
I I can only imagine what your day looks like, and I am so glad there are persons like yourself committed to caring for your mother. Because let's be real, there are some persons who just don't care,
No. Yeah.
generally for the elderly, or worse yet, in this
Oh
situation with
gosh.
someone dealing with
Yes.
Alzheimer's. You know,
Yes.
so I hope this conversation would have impacted someone or assisted someone in any way to communicate with the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago and other
Mhm.
support officers like yourself, because it's needed. COVID is just making everything a little bit, not even a little bit, majorly different, adding some challenges, not even a little
Oh,
bit.
see, yes. All
you
of
know,
us. Yes.
making challenges for us to interact. But I do love the things that you're doing at the organization, especially that luncheon, which is helping those who are trying to save us. That's how I refer to the essential officers,
Correct.
Others.
Correct.
So any final words
Yeah.
before we wrap up, Karen, and then we jump out of J Chats for today?
Right. Well, all I can say is that we are still here, COVID or no COVID. Please contact us. We are here to help. And we have information, and we will figure out some way in which you can link up with this information, even in these COVID.
Thank you so much, Karen Camejo, for your time. I just wish you the best. Send my love to your mom for me. I know she doesn't even know who I am, but just a little conversation because I have a thing for the elderly. I just,
Very good.
you know.
Very good.
So
Yeah.
send my
Yeah.
love to her, and thank you
Will
as
do.
well to all at the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm JD. This has been another episode of J Chats. Thank you so much. Don't forget to click, like, and share. You never know who needs the information, from interest to insights. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you inside the next
Thank
episode.
you.
Thank you much.
Bye.